a fresh attack on the Pakistani security forces by the Baloch Liberation Army. Just today, we're just getting news of an attack in Naushki, which is in Balochistan, close to the region's capital, which is Quetta. There was a Pakistani bus full of security forces personnel that was hit by a roadside bomb. The Baloch Liberation Army has claimed responsibility for this attack, and this is coming just after the BLA also hijacked a train, the Jafar Express train, traveling from Quetta just a couple of days ago, captured headlines both in India, Pakistan and abroad. And it has really put the spotlight on the BLA, this group that over the last 2 years has made things extremely difficult for the Pakistani military. Who are the BLA? What exactly do they want? And what exactly does this latest bombing attack in Naushki mean, both for the Balochistan cause as well as for the Pakistani security forces? Joining me now to decode exactly these questions is India Today's Shivani Sharma.
Shashank, this is the second major attack in last 4 days where the BLA has claimed responsibility, and in today's attack, they claim that 90 security personnel from Pakistan have been killed so far. And this was a convoy with 8 vehicles of the Pakistani security forces. They were traveling from Quetta to to another area. And in between, there is a place called Naushki. This is around 150 kilometers Quetta, where they have attacked this convoy. One of the buses was completely blown out in a Fidaini attack, and later they closed up to this particular convoy and they started firing upon the security forces. They say that around 90 security forces from Pakistan, including the Frontier Corps Jawans, have been killed by them. And the Pakistani security forces, on the other hand, have been claiming a lesser figure of casualties. They say that 7 casualties have been faced by them and 21 soldiers have been injured in this particular attack. So this is Naushki area, which is completely a secluded area, as we can see. And very important out here is that this is the same national highway that has been funded by China as one of its CPEC projects. And this particular attack has taken place just 4 days after what happened in the Jafar Express hijack, where the BLA had again said that it had killed 40 security forces from Pakistan, while 60 civilians were killed in this particular hijack. So this is a major surge that we are witnessing on the BLA attacks and against the security forces of Pakistan. So this is another attack that we've witnessed today.
Understood. Shivani, could you tell us a little bit about the Baloch Liberation Army, the BLA? Who are they exactly? What exactly are they fighting for? They've, of course, burst onto the scene, but we know that the Baloch insurgency has been really going on for a very, very long time, and at least in its current form since 2004. Tell us a little bit about the BLA. Who are they? What are they fighting for? What do they want from the Pakistani federal government?
Shashank, BLA, or the Baloch Liberation Army, is a front that calls themselves the freedom fighters for Balochistan. As the name suggests, they've been fighting for the liberation of Balochistan. They want Balochistan to be a separate nation. They do not want any kind of interference from Pakistan. They do not want the security forces of Pakistan on Balochistan. They say that Pakistan authorities, along with China, have been looting their resources. They've been there have been atrocities against them on their own land. They are not being looked after by Pakistan well. So now they want to secure the land. They want the liberation of Balochistan. And for this purpose, they've been fighting since several years now, Shashank. This is not a new fight. But yes, what has happened is that on 2nd of March, there was an announcement that came from the BLA that all the smaller groups who have been fighting for this cause are now uniting. They will be forming an integrated front, which they'll be calling Baloch National Army, and they will be chalking out a strategy, more lethal strategy, a decisive war against Pakistan's security forces. And since then, we've seen that within 10 days, there have been 2 major attacks on the security forces of Pakistan. One we saw where the train was hijacked with the 440 people on board. And in this hijack, there was there were around 100 casualties, in which they claim, the BLA claims that 40 were security personnel from Pakistan who were
Right.
killed, and 60 were civilians. And again, after 4 days, we are seeing this particular attack that has happened in Naushki, where a convoy has been targeted by the BLA. So they've been calling out for their demand for a separate nation, in fact, separate Balochistan. They do not want the Pakistani forces on their land. They do not want any projects with China on their land, as they say that they are exploiting the resources of Balochistan. The Balochistan people are not getting their rights. They are facing atrocities from Pakistani security forces. There are several human rights issues they have been facing. So this is their demand. And the last attack that we had witnessed of the Jafar Express, the statement that had been issued by BLA said that they want release of all the BLA fighters who are in jails in different cases. They want the removal of all the cases against these Baloch Liberation fighters. So this is the demand that has been there for long, and now we see that this fight is going quite the magnitude, the intensity, the style is all changing by the BLA in a fresh strategy against the Pakistani security forces.
Right. Shivani, could we also ask you a little bit about what exactly has changed with the BLA over the last couple of years? Some of the analysis that is coming out is that really they have received a major boost of strength since the American withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, using a lot of the weapons that were left behind by the United States Army when it left Afghanistan in 2021. Is that broadly correct? Because, we've seen really just over the last year, I think last year, the BLA claimed responsibility for about 302 attacks across the province. They launched these major attacks, as you were mentioning, in August 24 as well. And that was something that ground the province to a halt. What exactly is behind their increase in strength over the last couple of years, such that they've managed to really put the entire province on notice?
See, they are working quite in an escalated manner with a defense, with a strategy where they are procuring modern weapon systems. They are working on technology. They are enhancing the guerrilla war techniques. They are working at par with the technology. That's what they've been claiming so far, Shashank. And that's what we are seeing in the changed style of, or the changed pattern of their offensive that we've seen in past few months. They have been targeting the Chinese nationals. They've been targeting the Chinese engine. After 2021, what it is presumed that they have been procuring those weapons that have been left by the US. This is one of the reasons. Another, they have been trying to make their training as such that they can take on the Pakistani security forces in a bigger manner. That's what they are saying. So they are spending in terms of their training, in terms of their planning, in terms of their weapon systems, in terms of technology. So this is the decisive war that they claim they've taken since last 2 months. And then we are seeing these escalated attacks on the Pakistani security forces. And they have united. Several groups that were smaller groups have now united. They are fighting together as a plan to completely take down the security forces of Pakistan that are operating in Balochistan.
Right. Let me ask you two final questions then, Shivani, in terms of what you've said. How do you think that the Pakistani government is going to respond to this? In the past, we've seen them, of course, push back with a lot of force against Baloch insurgencies. Some might say that, in fact, their heavy-handed pushback, including, in fact, the assassination of certain leaders that were very prominent in the Balochistan cause, has only made the problem much worse. How do you think the Pakistani federal government is responding to this? What are you seeing in terms of the response over just the last couple of days, ever since we saw the Jaffa Train Express hijack?
See, this is a big embarrassment for Pakistani security forces and security agencies out there in Balochistan who are suffering heavy losses from the hands of BLA. They have been trying to downplay the numbers of casualties. We saw in the Jafar attack also, they have been saying that there were very few casualties, but what the claims of BLA was quite higher. They said that they had neutralized all the 33 BLA fighters, but even after that claim had come from the DG ISPR, we saw a fresh statement that was issued by the BLA. So there are contradictions on what the government of Pakistan has been claiming when it comes to these attacks. It has been downplaying these attacks. And today also what the officials claim is that 7 casualties by faced by the Pakistani security forces, while the BLA says that 90 soldiers of Pakistani army have been killed in this attack of Sunday. So there are contradictions, but yes, Pakistan is definitely troubled with the escalated attacks by the BLA in Balochistan, especially the way they have been operating on specific inputs, specific intelligence. They've been targeting the soldiers at places where the Pakistani security forces are lesser in numbers. The terrain warfare that we are seeing, the guerrilla warfare what we are witnessing, where we see the Pakistani security forces are falling weak at the hands of BLA and they are suffering heavy casualties. But certainly, Pakistan has always tried to save its face by downplaying the number of casualties, and that's what it is doing in this particular attack.
Right. Shivani, final question for you then from my end, which is the question of China. You mentioned right at the beginning CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. This was, of course, a massive, I think, $62 billion effort by both the Chinese and the Pakistanis to develop infrastructure, investment, and really tie both countries together more closely economically. Of course, in particular parts of the world, especially Balochistan, those investments have not really worked out. There have been attacks on Chinese nationals. Several of them have been killed. Gwadar port, which is, of course, in many ways the flagship Chinese port project, which they've invested in Balochistan, has also not taken off. Part of that, of course, is because of security concerns. How is China going to be looking at what's happening in Pakistan, given the fact that from what we know and what we've seen, at times China has been very, very firm with Pakistan that it needs to get the security situation under control if it wants the China-Pakistan economic relationship to take off. So how exactly is Beijing going to be looking at this?
China has already raised concerns multiple times over the security issues of its nationals who are working under the CPEC projects in Pakistan. In fact, it has also called Pakistan to raise a new security front just to safeguard the Chinese nationals who are working out there. And for that matter, it has also given a plan to give heavy funds to Pakistan just for the security of the CPEC projects and the nationals of China who are working out there. Remember, Shashank, there have been attacks on the Chinese engineers too in recent years who have been working there, involved in different projects, who are traveling to Pakistan. And recently there was a report, an input that we had received that China is thinking of pushing its own private security guards, the security of the CPEC the CPEC workers of China in Pakistan, because China is just not happy the way these attacks are happening in Pakistan, and the targets are mostly the Chinese nationals and the Chinese engineers. And today also I must bring it out that the attack that has happened on the NH, which has been a part of the CPEC project from China. So every time we see these attacks, we see that some or the other way China is getting impacted, and China is just not happy. It's perturbed. It is raising concerns with Pakistan. So we have to see what would be the future of the CPEC investments in Pakistan, because as of now, we do not find major success with these particular projects, especially due to these security concerns in Balochistan.
Understood. Shivani Sharma, thank you so much for joining us, explaining to us what the current state of play is in Balochistan with these attacks that we've seen in Naushki, as well as what the Baloch Liberation Army has been up to over the last couple of years, really putting serious pressure on the Pakistani government as it struggles to battle this epidemic of terrorism that has been flowing in both from the Pakistani Taliban, also from the Baloch Liberation Army. Thank you again, Shivani, and thank you so much to our viewers for joining us here on India Today Global.